Not the episode that we wanted to bring back to you guys here for BoltBlitz Uncut, but thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Booga Peters. Welcome back to BoltBlitz Uncut. Little lapse in coverage here, but thank you for your patience. Obviously, I'm your host, and we're going to add to the stage right now our co-host, A.D. Simons from across the pond, and one of everybody's favorites, Taylor from the Electric Ed podcast, who's also a co-host here on BoltBlitz Uncut. A 20-16 loss to the Texans, obviously a huge disappointing game for so many different reasons. Chargers come out of the game not predictably healthy, but I didn't expect them to get banged up too much in this game. But so many miscues, so many chargering-like issues. Hey, nice. Hey, what's up? Raj Dice Man, whoever you are. It's awesome. Nice to see you here, brother or sister. Sorry. Horrible game. Uncharacteristic game from Dicker. Gadsden, 2 drops, and then 80 will defer to you on the blocks that he blew, especially the one where Hampton was literally eating his cereal about 2.5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. J.K. Scott, horrible timing to shank a punt, a 22-yarder. 0 sacks by the defense. It was an all-out horrible effort. That being said, I don't think that we're too concerned about this team moving forward, except for if it comes to having to face one of these AFC South teams again. Taylor, we'll start with you. They go to Denver next week. Let's talk about the Texans game first, but feel free to kind of lead into that with each of your answers. We're not concerned about Dick, or we're not too overly concerned about what Gazette's going to give to the game, but this Chargers offense a little bit stagnant. Only 2 targets to Ladd McConkey. What does Greg Roman have to do, not necessarily against the Broncos, but how do they move forward from this Texas game and get something established, regardless of who they face in the postseason?
Yeah, so being at the game yesterday, the fans were definitely a bit restless with the 3-and-out drives that were continuous in the first half. I think I didn't really see it in the game plan yesterday, and not a lot of RPOs, not a lot of quick passes. It seemed like, once again, Roman had this schemed up where things need to develop down the field. And that's not going to happen with this banged up offensive line. I mean, they had Bobby Hart starting at left tackle yesterday. He hadn't started there since 2022. I'm still questioning as to who made that decision for him to start there. He got benched for Deculus. He gave up 3 sacks alone. But this offense right now is not built to let things really develop down the field unless you have the extra blockers in. And we saw that with a couple of the bombs that Quentin Johnson had yesterday. But they got to scheme some stuff up quick, especially with these defenses coming into the postseason. I mean, there is no easy defense that the Chargers are going to face. And next week against Denver, we know what Denver brings to the table. I don't know if the Chargers are going to rest their starters or whatnot, but regardless, Denver's going to bring the heat, and they need to figure out what they need to do going forward into the playoffs.
No, that's perfect. And we'll definitely get to whether they should rest starters or 10 or anybody important. But 80, you look at this Texans game. Let's just start with Gadsden, because you're our tight end O-line guy, and we're not going to beat a dead horse because he's dead as fuck right now. But the 2 big drops, the one Karam off of that, again, a Quentin Johnston, great play, which he's been showing up. Ladd and other wide receivers like a Keenan Allen drop there on 3rd down that really made the 3rd and Keenan thing hurt my feelings. But let's just get to Gadsden. Like, if the Chargers and Greg Roman are going to put Gadsden in those positions, not just as a receiving option, but as an important blocker, especially on a pin and pull, he's not allowed to get lost like that, is he?
No, I mean, the in particular play you're talking about, he actually kind of pushed the DB into the rush lane, and that kind of blew the entire play up. Like, it's incredibly annoying. He's not known for his blocking. We'll say that he is just a really big wide receiver. And then when it comes to his 2 drops, the one that led to the interception, he's got to make that play. He has absolutely got to make that play. I mean, Herbert could have placed it a little bit better.
And hold on, let me interrupt. You and I would agree there. It could have been a better ball by Herbert. Herbert admitted it in the post-game press conference. But that being said, it hit both hands. You got to do that in a game like this with the impetus that it had towards them having the possibility of having a chance to win the AFC West and perhaps have a better seeding in the playoffs. You know how important a grab like that is.
Yeah. But again, he's got to make that. It's within his catch radius. He's a big guy with a massive wingspan. you've got to make that play. It's just like, yeah. Again, Herbert could have done a better job of passing the ball. Could have took a little bit off it. Could have led him to it. He was the only option open on that play. I've been watching the coaching film all day, and he was the only option available on that play, and it was just a bad play all round.
And that's kudos. I think that's in support of that Texans defense. They were all over the field until Kamari Lassiter went out. The Chargers were struggling, and once he did go out for even a bit of time, that was when Herbert was able to exploit a few things. Moving forward, considering the way that a team like the Texans are going to play man against this Chargers offense, I see a man defense locking these wide receivers down. A guy like Ladd McConkey is not somebody whom I thought would be stymied by man. When you look at them moving forward into the playoffs, Taylor, you have to see these guys be able to get open against man, because there's going to be a lot of the running game that's going to be involved, regardless of who's available along the offensive line or who's in the backfield. Do you have any concerns about them being able to beat man moving forward? And the 2 targets to Ladd, that's got to be something that has to change, or do you think that that's just, however, there are only so many footballs to go around, I guess is the way to put it.
Yeah, but I mean, Ladd last year was over 1,000-yard receiver, and granted, second year, I'm sure defenses are figuring him out. But to your point, there's going to be a lot of man coverage in the playoffs. The only person who produced yesterday was QJ. Had another big game, but playoff teams right now are watching the film from yesterday and seeing what the Chargers' weaknesses are. Get pressure on Herbert, lock these receivers up in man, and you're going to force him to use his legs, and hopefully he can find a hole to escape to. But, the Texans did a really good job yesterday locking up our receivers, not getting the run game going. Herbert was once again the lead back for the Chargers, 6th game this year where he's leaded all rushers on this team. It's the same song and dance. And we had a really good stretch coming out of the bye where that wasn't the case. And we've reverted back to some of the stuff we've seen prior to the bye.
Allow me to put you guys right on the spot here, because I kind of love doing this shit. Herbert is not allowed to continue to lead this team in rushing anymore. He's that special. He's that kind of a guy. He's that type of a leader. He's that type of a quarterback. But 80, is that sustainable when we start to get into January, and if God willing, into those games that really matter there in late January and possibly into that first week of February?
Now, though, if you end up going up to, say, New England, those hits are going to hurt that little bit more of that cold weather up in Massachusetts. It's not sustainable. I said this a few weeks ago on the show. They've got to figure out a way of getting these running lanes open, and that entirely comes down to the O-line. Now, I've been posting footage all day of
all day.
All day. I've literally done about 7-8 hours of coaching footage for the day, and Rashawn Slater's personal coach, Duke Manyweather, had to pop up a few times and tell me where I was right and wrong. And I disagree with him a few times, but there's been a lot of really bad plays where Amari and Hampton could have put 70, 80 yards off 3 different plays yesterday, and just something really basic from the O-line are the reason why it didn't happen, and it's unacceptable, and it's one of the many reasons why Mike Devlin is going to be looking for a new job hopefully soon. Now, it's a great couple of really great design plays. Everything looks great, and then one person makes an individual error, screws the whole thing up, and this happened. I think at the moment I've got about 4 or 5 plays. So Amari and Hampton could have easily gone for 100 yards if it wasn't for an individual player not executing his assignment. And if you've ever heard the phrase, do your job, really popular with the Patriots, there's a lot of players who didn't yesterday, and that's the reason why. That's one of the main reasons why our offense didn't look that great.
No, you nailed it, 80. And then obviously, Taylor, I'm going to swing it to you. Your thoughts on whether or not it's sustainable to have Justin Herbert rushing for 35 yards every 6th time he tries to escape the pocket or keep this pocket alive or the rushing game alive. There's so much indecision and lack of cohesion during whatever the interior offensive line is trying to do. The turnstiles at left and right tackle, there's so much going on, but at what point is it too much for Justin Herbert? Is it sustainable going through this playoff run? Nice to see you, Jessica. Let's go. Yeah, get your resume, 80. Resume ready. He looked at his watch too. Are you Shador? Get out of here with that shit. But no, that's obviously not sustainable, I don't think, in your mind. But is it, though?
I don't believe so. I mean, he has metal in his hand right now. When he takes a tackle, he falls down awkwardly because he's trying to protect it. I mean, on no
Taylor,
planet.
you saw it in stadium on the Tron, correct?
Yes. So that first drive of the game where they go 3 and out, Bobby Hart misses his assignment. The defender comes right through. Herbert gets tackled to the ground, and all you see is the jumbotron. Herbert's arm is like frozen, where he doesn't want to move it. And I was like, this doesn't look good. And I had to text a couple friends that were watching the game, who I was going back and forth. Asking, did he go to the locker room? Like, what is going on with him? Because it just looked so bad on the jumbotron. And if they want to go deep in January, they better figure out a plan where he is not the leading rusher, because it's not sustainable, and especially with that hand injury.
Well, and it was kind of weird as far as watching the way that they integrated Jarrett Patterson into the game. But whenever it was a Hampton carry, it was just like, let's run him into the brick wall. It felt like put a hard hat on and we're just going to give you a pick and see what we can do, and just grind away at the granite. And that's not the best way to run this offense. And I'm really tired of seeing, and we talked about a little bit in the co-host group chat, about this whole like Greg Roman defending his offensive game plan about, hey, sometimes when you see two receivers in the same pattern, it's because one's supposed to be shielding or blocking off. We understand rub routes, bro. We understand pick plays. Don't patronize us. What the fuck are you talking about? We saw too many again this game. The one where we had Keenan and Ladd doing the same thing, and what happens? It's a deflection, and it was almost picked off. I don't know what's going on with that Greg Roman offense. 80, you and I have really looked at this offense a lot. There's so much we like about the running game when he really feels comfortable utilizing it. But in his defense, he has not necessarily had the pieces in place along the offensive line, losing an Alt, losing a Slater, obviously. But they're not getting anything going in a substantial way on the ground against a team that they have to get it going against. This is the playoffs. The Chargers are already a playoff seed. They're in there right now. It depends on who they're going to end up playing, but they're going to have to run the football. Yep. You're an offensive line guy. You're a tight end guy. Your concerns about this offensive line in the running game under Greg Roman as they approach the playoffs.
It's not so much the scheme, because there's a lot of really good elements that are so close to working, but it's one individual player that screws it up. And that, like I said in the previous segment, it's like that happened 3-4 times yesterday. Stuff that shouldn't ever really happen. And when you had guys like Zion running completely the wrong way for like an outside zone stretch to the right, he decided to like not pay attention to the guy he should be blocking, and he just ran left for no reason whatsoever. And again, these are mental errors. And one of the things I always say about this O-line is there's always a point of attack that you can exploit. If Alton Slater were here, as I said preseason, I'd be going after Zion Johnson, because any half competent DC can go after him, and there's always a weakness that you can exploit with this O-line.
Even if they were healthy, and honestly, that's not a shot at the guys who've been trying to put their best on tape moving forward. But boy, a lot of those guys along that line, their best on tape is not that great. Yeah. But what 80's trying to get at is, even with your Slater and your Alt there as your bookends, you would still attack the Chargers defense the same way that the Texans did last season with a Slater and an Alt in the lineup. Yeah. You'd still find the stunts. You'd still find a way to confuse a Becton. You still find a way for Bradley Bozeman to somehow. Yeah. By the way, he did a little better with stunts this last week. If anybody's going to give him a little credit, allow it to be me. He actually did his job. It was Becton. I know you know what I'm going to say right here, because you watched so much of the 80. Becton checked with him on that one play that you put in the chat too. He checked with him. He tapped his hip, and Becton still, after checking Bozeman's hip, did not wait for the stunt to come through. And Bozeman got a little off. He got a little off balance, and he got onto one foot, but he still came in with some force. Where'd the rush come from?
He literally drove
his alley, and then Pipkins gave up.
Yeah, he kind of drove his guy into Bozeman's guy, and then the guy who was like Bozeman was engaging just looped back around and went straight into Herbert, and nobody kind of reset their blocks. Nobody kind of like saw him. Nobody paid attention to it, and it was just like Oh, and yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, it was just a horrible play. Yeah, again, stunts are easy with this team. Becton isn't a good player. He's constantly out with knee injuries. We know a little bit about that because we were the first people kind of
Like
on that.
K-tape in March or what was it? Fucking May when
Yeah, May.
Chargers.com.
Yeah, it was May time when he turned up at camp with, and he's taking so many plays out and not finishing games, and it's always injury related. It's not a difficult one to figure out because you'll see network footage of him being tended to on the sideline. It's like, oh, okay, so you and when he wears that sleeve over his right leg, you know what it is, and it's
We
not
kind of
even.
saw it. And
It's,
he was a guy who has an injury history too. Taylor,
yeah.
you've been a part of what we've been doing here at BoltBlitz long enough. You know how I felt about the Beckton thing. In March, I said I don't want anything to do with that experiment, but here we are. You watch a lamppost of that size with long arms just kind of take up space. And it's a little disheartening considering you do have guys. Zion's fighting his ass off, and whether Bozeman sucks or not, he really is trying. Watch the Becton experiment kind of blow up the way that it does. Is there any chance that he's back next year, or do the Chargers cut bait?
I hope he's not back next year. I think Chargers Twitter would explode if he comes back next year. Every single pregame with this guy, he may be injured, but he can post on Instagram his stupid Joker meme that he posts. It's like, if you're injured, tell someone you're injured and let someone else play for you. I know yesterday they're rotating in Penning. Maybe week 18, they'll play Penning a full game at right guard and get him some experience going into the playoffs. But I am over the Mekhi Becton experience. Every time I look at PFF grades, he is dead last on this offense. The dude sucks. I mean, the Jets let him go, 2 years ago, which tells you everything you need to know about the guy.
Well, and they were struggling to form any type of whatever along the O-line over various parts of the season in which he was a starter there. And then they're like, nah, we'd rather try to figure something else out. He goes to Philly and he plays with, I don't know, Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson. Who's this? It was Kelsey. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
80, this is your territory.
Yeah. So 3 guys who potentially going to end up wearing gold jackets in the next sort of 15 years or so. Yeah, they're going to mask a lot of your frailties. Yeah, when it comes to Becton, yeah, I'm done with him. I don't want him back next year. It's a relatively easy cap cut. Bozeman, I'd keep. And I'm going to say this out loud.
We better save that for another show. We ain't got all the time in 2 days for that one, man.
Yeah, mostly
I love it because honestly, we'll kind of tease the rest of everybody who's listening right now. All 5 of you, love y'all. I kind of expect it too, but we want to save that for a different time. Let's go. I want to go back to the Penning thing because 80. While I've got you here because you're here and available, and this is where I think I love sitting in your wheelhouse because it's a fun place to be. Penning moving forward. I mean, we don't like him on the outside. We sure as fuck don't like him or Bobby Hart at left tackle. Talk about what Penning can do as far as providing that bulldog kind of presence on the interior. He's not a left guard, though. He's going to have to play right guard for sure. But that being said, what do you think about him moving forward? And I don't want to call him a project. He's been in the league too long. He's now literally, he was a first-round draft pick. It's either put up or shut up time for him. Is he somebody that they should experiment on, or should they draft in front of him and have him just sit in the background and be a backup?
I would just use him as a developmental backup. I would draft a guy happily. There's a bunch of really good guys, even as far as round 3 and 4 this year, that have got really good grades on them. Penning is a guy who provides positional versatility, which is a phrase that Harbaugh uses a lot. He can play tackle. He can play guard. Same as Andre James. He plays center and tackle. That's the kind of guy that Harbaugh kind of talks about a lot, wanting. And he's not good enough to be a starter, but he's good enough to kind of fill in as and where when you need the guy to. I wouldn't expect to go into week 1 next year with him being my starting left or right guard. He needs a bit of work, and we don't have the coaching staff or the infrastructure to make them improvements over one summer. he would have to go off to somebody like Duke Manyweather, get into him with a block. Duke's my guy, people know, but he would have to go. He would have to go to a performance coach to get a block of training in with him, just to see where he is.
And hold on, there's no shame in that shit. Honing your skill, honing your craft. Like, let's do that kind of shit. By the way, I got to do this. No, I'm going to cut you off again.
Go on.
Watching you actually disagree with Duke and have a little like, no, I kind of saw it this way. I don't know if I've ever been more proud of you, sir, Mr. Tall Guy. I was pretty proud of having your ground.
Yeah, I know Duke. I've known Duke for about 3-4 years, and I finally met the guy this year when he came over to the UK because his wife's from England. He ran a camp in the UK, and I got a chance to kind of do some stuff face to face with him, which is cool.
Richie, Duke is not big enough.
No, he's tiny.
He's actually a little guy.
He's a little guy. There is a photo on my Twitter and my Instagram of me and him together. The dude's about 5'9", 5'10", but he's about 4 foot wide. He's a tech. I think he's a tech. He was a center at, I think it's Texas Tech.
It's some tech. I didn't know. I thought it might have been Texas Tech, but I didn't know for sure.
He was like center at Texas Tech. He was like, I think he started like a walk on at some point, and
he's like dude from UNC. What, 2 years ago?
Willie Lampkin.
Willie Lampkin.
Yeah, he's built like that guy. And Duke's a really good guy. So he, again, going back to Rashawn Slater. Rashawn Slater actually rents an Airbnb for like a month out there, and he takes a lot of different Chargers players with him. I know he's taken
Foster Sarah.
He's taken them. He's taken Pipkins. So Pipkins, when he got that last contract, that was off the back of him going down to Duke Manyweather for the summer. He was there for a couple of blocks of training with Duke, and he literally had like his one usable year ever. Again, Trey Pipkins is a guy I've never liked as a Charger. He's one of Tom Telesco's infamous third-round picks, who for half of his career was beaten out by Storm Norton.
Good Storm Norton reference. If you have not tuned into BoltBlitz anything before now, anytime
he's still in the league. Atlanta keeps signing the guy. But yeah, when it comes to the O-line, there's a lot of changes that need to be made this offseason. We're just going to get through and see what's what. There's a couple of guys who kind of.
But hold on, they don't need to use literally all 5 picks because they only have 5 at this point.
Give me one. Give me one. Just give me.
Well, I need 2 or 3, and they better do something about the interior defensive line. Taylor, when you look at this team moving forward, we've talked about resting starters. What are your thoughts on 10 playing? And let's put a bow on it. Regardless of what, and you can piggyback with what you would do with the rest of the team, but start with 10. Should 10 play this next game? Should Justin Herbert start or play it all against the Broncos in week 18?
The competitor in me wants him to play. And also I'm going to the game, so I'd like to see him play. But I think he should rest next week against Denver. Get that hand healthy going into the postseason. Don't risk further injury. We talked pre-game or pre-show about this, that, a couple years ago when Staley was the coach and he played starters week 18 against Denver, Mike Williams got hurt and was not available he was not available for the Jacksonville game. So I think you give Herbert the extra rest. That hand's going to be in a lot better place in 2 weeks. If he can stay on the bench, let Trey Lance take care of the quarterbacking, and, along with some other key starters, get them healthy for the wild card round of the playoffs.
So Herbert rests. 80, would you agree that Herbert should rest? Google Boots. What the fuck? That's John Kegley. Booga versus a giant teddy bear at the fair. I'm going to fuck that teddy bear up. Let me just make that clear, especially if there's pizza or beer or both involved. I'm so glad that he's here. I love it when he's here. Kegley, I love you to death. I'm fairly certain that's you. If not, I still love the comment. No, let me piggyback off of both you guys, and then we'll kick it to 80, because I already know what 80 is going to say. Sit Herbert, but we're all athletes here. What I love about this group. We've seen all the picks that 80 has with Tony Baselli. I've seen Taylor's picks during her bodybuilding and the different competitions, the softball stuff that she does. I was important a long time ago athletically. very, very long time ago. There's no way he wants to sit. How do you talk 10 into sitting? And is it something that you think is feasible, or is 10 going to start 80? Be honest.
I think you just have to tell him for his own good. He needs to. You have to almost save him from himself. Just say, like, come on, you need to sit down. He's not going to like it. Don't even activate him. Just don't even dress him. Just like
that's where I'm at. Don't even dress him. Put him in a headset.
Just put him. Yeah.
Bring Give Trey Lance a 1-game tryout to like, hey, in case shit gets hairy, this is what we would like you to be doing so that he can learn to run the offense again. Well, I'm not suggesting he gets all the first team snaps, but let's get him more active.
I mean, given the state of how QBs are in the league at the moment, this could be his dress rehearsal for a job elsewhere because he's out of contract at the end of this year. So this could be his dress rehearsal for a job interview elsewhere.
Do you realize that you set me up perfectly for this? The state of the quarterback situation in the NFL is that my favorite player of all time, 44-year-old Phillip Rivers, came back to try to give the Indianapolis Colts a chance at the playoffs. And who let him down? The San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles. I mean, it's so perfect. Some things never change, and yet they still change, and yet they remain the same. I'm looking forward to this game, even though it's going to be what I believe is more of like a late season, how's your depth doing kind of a game. I wouldn't play anybody important if it was me. I don't think that it's worth taking a chance. I'm not sad that Denzel Perriman's missing week 18, but I do believe he would have made a big impact this week. I'm telling you right now, there was so much shit up the gut. Troy Dye is a decent coverage linebacker. He's not Denzel Perriman.
He's not a fun one.
Yeah. I mean, they're two different leagues. It's almost like a collegiate backer against, I don't know, Denzel Perriman. When you think about the way that they stop the run, Perriman has been that type of a run-stopping backer since I don't know, some of us were young-ish, or at least thinking we were still young-ish. It's been a minute for me. I'm not too concerned about this Chargers team moving forward, but that being said, Greg Roman, he really has to get his shit together. No more wide receivers running the same routes in the same areas. We're not trying to cut anybody short here, but I feel like we've kind of made things clear going into a game that it's not this barn burner that we really have to be concerned about. The Chargers are most likely going to be the 7th seed, and it would appear that they're probably going to play the Patriots. I'll start with you, 80. Any concerns about facing the Patriots, or if you do have some, what would they be?
They're a really good team, so I'm going to have to pay attention a little bit more to them this week and watch some tape. But I think we've lost Will Campbell recently. He's been out with injury, but they are a well-coached, hard-nosed, physical team. With Vrabel, they're going to be a mismatch, and Drake May is potentially an MVP candidate this year as well. Just as he's playing just as well as Herbert is. He's just got a better cast of characters behind him. He's got a first rounder with Will Campbell. He's got arguably the best center from the last draft playing at left guard. He's got
Jared Wilson out of Georgia. Don't you do that to me?
Yep. A lot of people talking about replacing Bozeman. I was quoted on this by one of the bigger podcasts. The top 10 centers from the last draft, there's only 3 of them on active rosters, and only one of them's a starter, and he's not playing center. That's how bad the last intake of centers were from the last draft.
But provide hope for fans moving forward, though, because this center class, the interior class, is great this year.
Oh yeah, this is a really good one. But I think 5 of the top 6 from the last class deferred and decided to come out this year, and we're seeing
Bryce Foster, Parker Brailsford, Jake Slaughter, help me out, Logan Foster, Logan Jones.
Yes, they all deferred. They all decided.
Logan Jones out of Iowa, undersized.
Undersized guy, probably good for more kind of Shanahan-based run offenses. He's really small. There's no way
he'd be fine in anything that was outside zone too, as long as you had to get to your mark.
Yeah, he's really small. He's a lot smaller than Iowa are saying he is. So Iowa won the Mackey Award. I think it's the Mackey Award. Yeah, the best O-line in college football. I've kind of known that for a few weeks they were winning that, because I know a couple of the voting members for
Voters?
that award. Yeah, I know a couple of the
The
guys.
Mackey Awards for tight ends, because it's named after John Mackey.
Yes, it's
Who's
for
a
the
former
best O-line,
Charger.
for the best
He
O-line in college football. Yeah, Iowa won that, and when you actually saw the presentation, you saw just how small this guy was next to 6'5", 320-pound Jennings Dunker. He looked like a 12-year-old.
We like Jennings Dunker though, so you segued into something unintentionally. Taylor, I'm going to switch to you real quick. You look at what, and we're kind of fast forwarding, and we're not trying to skip anything that the Chargers are going to do against Denver, but yes, we are, because no one gives a shit about that game. Just everyone be healthy. Honestly, both teams couldn't care less. I need everyone to be healthy. I'm done. I've never been a guy who roots for injuries for the other team. But you look at the interior line moving forward, it's got to be addressed wholeheartedly, wouldn't you say, in this draft? And prior to that, of course, free agency.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Chargers will take an interior O lineman in the first round. I know we've talked about some mock drafts in our chats. I think I had the guy in my mock draft out of Penn State. I'm not going to pronounce his name right, so I'm not even going to try and butcher it.
Or something like that.
Vega. Iowane. I got it.
Yeah.
Iowane. I got it. I've already got it. I can't do the first name, but it's just Vega Iowane.
Yeah, he's the only guy I would consider at this point. I don't start looking at my college tape until after the Super Bowl, but as it's looking right now, he's the only guy I'm considering if I'm taking the first round guy. If he's gone, then there's a D tackle out of Iowa. He's the only guy I would consider as a first rounder at this point.
Taylor, keep rolling.
Yeah. And then, there's already been the chatter on X about free agency and, who's going to be available. Was it Tyler Linden? I can't pronounce his last name.
Linderbaum.
Yeah. I don't think the Chargers, though, are going to spend the amount of money he's going to warrant in free agency. So, Bosa may be back, and I think Chargers Twitter will blow up if that happens. But you never know what type of things will transpire, especially, the 3-day draft. Joe Ortiz can make some moves, acquire some more picks, and maybe they find someone in the later rounds to be that next guy up for that center position.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, 80, how feasible is a Tyler Linderbaum signing? And then back that up with how necessary is it for the Chargers to acquire more picks in this draft?
Linderbaum would be a solid one. It all depends on what you want your center to do. So one of the things that made Herbert's job a lot easier when he first came into the league was having, from years 2 and 3, was having Corey Linsley, who would call out your protections, change the play. He was essentially de facto QB2 on the field, and Linderbaum does that for the Ravens quite a lot. So his situation is they declined his 5th-year option because he of the way they structured his contract. His 5th-year option was going to be
because he overperformed. He overperformed.
Yeah, he made 2 Pro Bowls under his rookie contract. So they tacked on performance bonuses to his 5th year, which would have meant that he was like the highest paid center in the entire league. Which
under a rookie contract, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, so his 5th-year option was like an absurd amount of money. So they declined that. I would assume they're looking at getting him under a long-term deal. It's somewhere reasonable. I don't expect him to go to the open market. It would be absolute suicide for them unless there's a guy that they're already really familiar with coming through this year's draft. Then he'll go to the open market and he will get paid. He will get Creed Humphrey levels of money, if not more.
Should he?
Yes. Yeah, he has been steady.
Taylor, do you think he should too?
I agree.
Yeah.
Do you think so? Hold on. Let me say this then. If Baltimore somehow, which they're up against the cap next year, by the way. If for some reason they're not capable of re-signing him, he is going to be the hottest center in free agency. Do you think that the Chargers, will start with Taylor, do you think that the Chargers would be willing to pay him? Or 80 will take this when you're done, or are they just going to run it back with Bozeman? I set you up so horribly.
Yeah, that's okay. The one point that makes me think it's a possibility the Chargers sign him is because of the Baltimore connection. You know, I just don't think Ortiz wants to spend that type of money in free agency, but they can't run it back with the same interior offensive line that they've run back with this year and even prior to last year. So maybe
what does the fan base do if they even try it, Taylor?
Oh, I don't even want to know. I mean, Chargers Twitter is going to explode if they try to run it back with the same three interior guys. I don't think Becton's going to be any part of that, but if Bozeman's back and he is the starter, I think Chargers Twitter may explode. So, you know, I want to believe that the Chargers are going to offer him a contract, but I'm just not sold with just how Ortiz handles money and contracts. I'm not completely bought in on that.
80 thoughts on Linderbaum, and then of course the need to change the interior line, and if they don't, what does Chargers Twitter look like?
Oh yeah, they're going to explode if Bozeman comes back. But what they need to understand is, yeah, we have a decent amount of cap, but then we also have to pay OA. He's performing so well that he's going to be looking at 20+ million. Tuli wants to get paid, so that contract's going to look kind of insane. If Mac comes back, he's going to want another 18 to 20 million. You could potentially have 60 plus of 88 million tied up in just 3 players. That doesn't leave a lot of room for Linderbaum. I think Bozeman will come back because Bozeman gets a lot of slander from your Twitter fans. I break down tape all the time, and Daniel Popper from The Athletic, he's kind of backed this up a few times where Bozeman gets a bad rap from PFF, and PFF, they are no more credible than Madden. They are the objective opinion of an individual who sits there and grades based, and a lot of the time they don't even stick to their own grading standards.
They're just another metric. So let me interrupt you real quick.
Go on.
We don't hate on PFF. We've had several guests from PFF over the last decade and a half. We appreciate all the hard work that they put into that, but we also do hear this one thing where we're as honest as possible. It's literally just one more metric. It's if I can't decide on my own, which you better be able to, but if you need a little something to push you one way or the other, it's just one more metric. But that being said, if we were to talk about Becton again for a quick second, when he grades out at like a 0.3, what was it?
Yeah, that was 2 weeks ago. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, like no, it doesn't matter who's grading you that way. When you're graded that way, it's like, shit, let's take notice. But again, Taylor added it to the show. Let's make sure our Joker meme or whatever the fuck it is on the gram is hot as fuck. Like what? I mean,
the same picture.
You're that big. What is he? 6'8", 3 zillion.
340-ish at the moment. I think
he's 340 for sure, man.
Yeah.
You think he's 340?
He's around 340 at the moment. I think early in his career, he was like 355. And that's
when I was 5'1", 110, my head coach listed me at 5'3", 125, baby.
Hey, my biggest, I was 6'11", 335. That is a big old amount of weight to push around.
Me too, brother. Me too. I know Taylor had the same problem back in the day.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I don't want any part of Becton coming back. You need to find a guy, either somebody like Kevin Ziegler, who, despite him being 105 years old, he's still a top.
My age.
He's still a top 20 guard in the league. I only know this because
I said will only get cheaper due to age.
Yeah, I mean, I think 9 million this year he's playing on, and again, you could probably get.
Hey, Shaw could play guard. He's 5'11", 280. He's Willie Lampkin.
Yeah, and then Bozeman coming back. I don't particularly want Zion back next year. I think.
Yeah, too bad. Hold on, stop. This is perfect. And we'll only hang out about 10 to 12 more minutes, but Zion's coming back. I would love to argue with everybody here about that because I don't want it to be true. He's going to get overpaid. 80, I know you agree with me. Yep. It doesn't matter what you want. Taylor, will start with you because I know he already agrees he doesn't want him back, but he thinks it will happen. Your thoughts on Zion? They didn't sign him to his 5th-year option, but are they going to make sure that he's a priority in the offseason?
I don't think so. Yes, he's, according to PFF, right, he's been our highest graded offensive lineman this year once Alt went down. I think the only way he comes back is on an extremely team-friendly deal. but I think how this offensive line in full has performed this year, the whole interior needs to be revamped. So I don't see it happening unless it's like an extremely team friendly deal and he's competing for a starting spot. That's the only way I envision it.
80.
So I was crunching some numbers before looking at last year's free agency period and looking and kind of matching that up to PFF grades from last year because agents use PFF grades. And based on calculations, I would assume Zion this year is looking at somewhere between 10 and 12.5 million a year coming into this next free agency period. No, that kind of money, nah. You can buy you can get a 1-year rental on a Kevin Ziegler for that kind of money, and then go and get your future franchise guy in the first round if he's there.
So hold on, we've talked about this. That 10 to 12 and a half year or $12.5 million contract for 1 year.
Yeah,
I think we're all going to agree for a starting left guard with the escalation of everything, the inflation of everything, literally everywhere, but especially along the interior and everywhere along the offensive line. Kudos to you and your brethren there, 80 Simons. I think 10 to 12.5 million is not that bad for a starting left guard. Do I want it to be Zion Johnson? I'm really not looking forward to that option, but we've all listened to the press conferences. We've heard the praise from Harbaugh. At what point does that run out? I'm not sure. At what point do we decide whether or not that was just press conference rhetoric? I'm really not sure. But he seems to be very consistent in the players that he praises. And then he seems to keep the people that he praises around for a long time, a la Greg Roman.
I like Greg Roman.
Honestly, I expect the interior to not change as much as we want it to, and I'm going to cry. I'm not sure if that really happens, but on the inside, I will. It could be a devastating offseason for this Chargers team, especially if they don't do something to add more picks. I'm nervous about the draft. 5 picks is not enough for this team. They really need an infusion of youth in addition to the vets that they have here. No idea what's going to happen with Keenan. Owe, Mack, the Tart. There are too many. Dante Jackson, Elijah Molden, I believe. No, Dante has 1 more year. Excuse me.
Yeah, he's on a 2-year deal.
Yeah,
Dante Jackson.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Yeah,
and Molden, I think, is on a 3-year deal.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think Molden signed a 3-year contract.
Yeah, Molden is on the 3-year.
Yeah.
I wish it was a 3-day. But anyway, his dad and I are cool too, so that's really sucks for me to say. He had a rough game. Look, actually, you know what? Let me back the truck up all the way on this. Elijah has not been healthy all year. He's played through a broken hand. He's played through some lower body extremity things as well. That are all on the record. I'm not doing anything goofy. But that being said, some of the times that he was healthy, they kept Unc off the field. And Tony Jefferson, though 80 don't chew him up, but he bit early. Yep. He bit down. It wasn't the 70. Was it the 75-yarder to Higgins or the one to Noel?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. I would have to go back and watch the tape. But
it was one of the two, but it was because of Unc sold.
Yeah, he bit down on a hitch route, and he kind of got beat over the top by one of the receivers coming over the top from the opposite side of the field in cover 2 deep, and he got beat, and everyone sat there blaming Molden. Everyone started blaming Molden, and I think it was former Charger Braden Fajoko last night was talking absolute trash, and
Molden called him out.
But Molden kind of clapped back at him and said,
and then Fajoko, hold on, can I do this? Let me
deleted the tweet.
Yeah,
Braden Fajoko, when he was a Charger, was not only did he have the worst food takes ever, like the worst food takes ever, and then he kind of sneaks out of the grass, and now he kind of puts some tweets out here and put some tweets out there, and everyone's like, "Oh, we're former Charger fans. He's a former Charger. He's an expert. We all love it." Like, come on, man. Scooty Q, Scott Quessenberry, dig you, brother. You, if you refute what he says, woo, that's kind of fun too. Just the weird Fajoko train. Like, did anybody watch him play for the Chargers? I understand his run grade game. He actually played and graded really well against the run. He did in certain situations. Went to the Steelers, and then when he was coached by Mike Tomlin, and he just became this all fucking Muhammad bullshit knowing, I know everything. I think it's a little goofy. Or a lot goofy. But y'all idolize who you want on the good old X thing. Elon had it that way. He set y'all up for it, and I'm glad to see that we get to exploit it the same way we did back in the day before he took over. Let's keep this ending short. Get rid of all of them until all Jesus Christ, John. My Lord. That is not where we're going right now. That is definitely not where we're going. I think we're going to go back to Willie Lampkin. David Shaw, 5'11", 280, playing guard for the Chargers next year, if it means that we can get Becton out of the lineup. This has been a fun one, a very fun one. 80, Taylor, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys joining me. 80, make sure that you tell everybody where they can find you on all of your social media apps.
Just on Twitter, at 80 Simons, all as one word. Anything O-line and tight end, come at me. I will answer most questions. Yeah.
Taylor of the Electric Edge podcast, of course, but also a co-host here on BoltBlitz Uncut. Please make sure everybody can find all your socials. And while we're here, congratulations again on topping 1,000 subscribers. Couldn't be more proud of you. Taylor did all that shit way before anybody here knew about her. She's been grinding and getting this shit done for a long time, and her exposure just keeps getting larger and larger, and it's just nice to see it happen.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, if you want to follow me on socials, I'm on X, TikTok, and Instagram at Electric Edge Pod. And then on YouTube, you can find me if you search Electric Edge. My show should pop up.
Everybody's so humble except for me here. I love y'all so much. I'll just brag the fuck out of both of you guys all the time. Whether you like it or not, 80's all shy right now out of nowhere. It's kind of weird. This has been BoltBlitz Uncut. We're a little bit weird here, and that's why we have so much fun. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Booga Peters. We're out. Peace.
Yeah.